Welcome back to the 5th session of the Plotly Dash app course. Today we're going to learn how to deploy an app to the web so you can share it with others. And we'll also go over a resource sheet that is going to help you learn Dash way after the end of this course. So there are several steps you should take when you are deploying a Dash app to the web. First, you're going to want to open a GitHub account and add your app to the new GitHub repository. Then, you will connect your repository to the online server so it can deploy the app to the web and you can get your own URL link. There are a couple of hosting platforms out there, online servers. You can use render.com, you can use Python Anywhere, or Heroku. Heroku will cost you about $5 to $10 a month, if not more. And then you have Render and Python Anywhere that both have free tiers. Python Anywhere is a platform that allows you to deploy your app to the web without paying anything. They have that option, but it's a bit more complex to add your app there. Render.com makes it very easy to add your Dash app, but it does put your app to sleep. It's free, but if your app is not used for 15 or 30 minutes, then it will fall asleep and it will take about 15 to 30 seconds to load. So keep that in mind when you are sharing your Dash app with others. Now we're going to see two examples today, two app examples. One where the app has the data inside the app locally, I mean in the same root directory as an Excel sheet on your computer, and one example where, like we saw in the previous sessions, where the data is online stored on GitHub, like as a raw format. So first, we'll look at the raw format of the Excel sheet stored online. Now I'm going to give you a lot of steps and to show you how to deploy a Dash app to the web. Don't worry about remembering every single step, because at the end or under the video, I'll give you a resource sheet that will show and describe each one of these steps. So you don't have to memorize everything. Just try and listen and focus on what I'm trying to do and understand each and every step. And if you have questions, always in the comments section on the video, I'll be happy to help you out. So the first thing you want to do is, let's say we have this Dash app, right? This is a similar one to the one we always created in the previous sessions. It has a radio button, a table, and a graph. The first thing you want to do is create your virtual environment. This is where you're going to install all the necessary libraries to actually run your app locally. This has nothing to do with the online servers, the web. It's only locally. So you install your virtual environment. You can just Google it. It's fairly easy. It depends on what operating system you're using, Mac or Windows, OS. But just create the virtual environment. And once you have it, you want to activate it. On a Windows machine, you can activate a virtual environment like this. You see I'm inside the deploy example 1 folder right here where my app exists. Now to activate it, I just type this in and you can see that it's activated because we have VENV is the name of my virtual environment inside parentheses. So it's activated. Now you'll have to install the libraries to run your app, right? So we'll do pip install dash. I already installed this to save you some time. Dash comes with Plotly, so you don't have to install Plotly, which we have here and here, but you do have to install pandas, pip install pandas, which I also already installed. And now your app should work, right? Oh, one last thing, you have to pip, never forget this, install gunicorn. Right? This is an important library to have because the online servers, the deploying platforms need this in order to read your Dash app onto the server. So we have gunicorn, all right? And we have all the libraries necessary. We're going to make sure that my app works by running my app. Python app.py. And let's make sure this runs. All right. There we go. Perfect. So we know my app works, so if I deploy it online, it should work as well. We know we're not dealing with a broken app. Okay, so we have an app that's working. Let's stop this. Now what you want to do is you want to freeze your, or copy all the libraries that you installed into a requirements.txt file. You're actually creating, see here on the left, 1 second, it's going to pop out in 1 second. You're actually creating a requirements.txt file. And this file is has all the libraries that you installed. I mean, you only installed Dash and Plotly and Pandas, but Dash and Pandas come with many other libraries like Dash Core Components, Flask, HTML, the data table. Pandas comes with NumPy. So these are all the libraries that the render.com will understand what it needs to install to run your app, right? Because right now, all these libraries are installed locally, but you're going to have to tell the render server or Python Anywhere server, you take the requirements.txt file and install all these libraries, okay? So we're going to use that later. One other thing, make sure that your app has, under this line of code where you instantiate your Dash app, your Dash class, have server equals app.server. This is something that's related to Flask, which is under the hood. So always make sure to have this line of code or your app won't work. We ran our app. We saw that it worked. Now we have to push our code to GitHub into a new repository. So let's do that. Let's go into our GitHub. Let's create a new repository. I also have a video on how to create a repository, which is going to be in your resource package under the video. So take a look at that. We'll create a new one and we'll say, we'll call this example dash app number 22. And no description, everything else stays the same. We're going to do create repository. And now we'll copy the first 3 lines of code like this. Copy, Control C, and we'll paste that into the terminal right here. All right, so we can see that we initialize Git. We're going to add a README file, and we're going to do git add space dot. This is going to add all the rest of the files, the app.py, and the requirements.txt into your into Git. Now that you have everything in there, the next thing to do is to go back to the instructions and copy the rest of the lines of code like this. Control C. Control C. Enter for the origin, push everything to main, the last line of code. And now that should work. If we go back, we'll see everything was set up. Now we'll go back. And we'll see that if we refresh this, we have our README file, our app.py, and the requirements.txt, which came from our local computer, right? So everything is on GitHub. So now we are ready to push this into render to to create our URL and display our app on the web. So anybody can use it. So you want to make sure to open an account on render.com. Go to render.com. If you don't have an account, put your email, password, or just connect it to your Google and open an account. Then go to this dashboard or new button. You have to find this new button and choose web service. Not a static site, but web service. Here, you want to deploy from a Git repository. Next. And then go below and we'll just choose the GitHub account. So where was it? Was it right here? Just this is the GitHub account. So we'll just Control C to copy the whole URL. And then we'll go back and we'll say like this. Continue. So now it's going to connect to that GitHub. We gave it a unique name. We just copied the name here. The region, I'm in New York, so I put the closest server. Going to be in Ohio. It's going to be in the main branch because it's not You see it's the main branch here. It's not like an offshoot or a different branch. Python 3, pip install, remember our requirements.txt file right here. This is what all the libraries that render needs to install on their server to run my app. Now GUnicorn, you have to change this, and remember this. I got stuck like hours and hours because I forgot to change this. You'll have to do GUnicorn app:server. Okay? GUnicorn app:server. The reason you put app is because it's not always going to be app. In most cases, it will be an app. But the reason you do app because that's the name of the file of your app. It's app.py. If you name your file something else, let's say you called your file myapp.py, you want to make sure that this, don't take the .py, remove the .py, but my app is now the new name before the colon. So this line of code right here before the colon should always be the main app name without the .py. Okay, this is also going to be in the instructions under the video. App:server. We're going to choose a free tier. $7 a month will allow your app to not fall asleep, so to always be running. But we're not going to spend any money today. And then we'll do create web service. So sometimes it takes about 5 minutes to create. It's building, you see, right here. And this is the URL that it already created for you, but it's not going to work until it finishes the build process and it's successful. You can always look at the logs to see any errors that might come up. You can go back to the settings to see what settings we chose. And this is something I want to show you regarding the second example. While we are waiting for let's go to the logs, for the app to finish building. Events started. You can take a look at it. First deploy. You see it's building. So while it's finishing and downloading everything, I want to show you something. When you have an app that has your Excel sheet or your CSV sheet locally in your computer, right, in the same folder, what you want to do is you want to structure the app in the following way. Let's see. I'll give you the link. 1 second. Okay, so this is how you want the structure to be. You need a source folder. This is the best practice. Inside the source folder, you want your requirements.txt and the app.py. And then you need a data folder. And in the data folder, you can put your CSV sheet, right? And you connect between the two by going here, app.py, and in the app.py, you import path. Whoops. And this is how you connect them right here. Path_file, parent data, and you're going to your CSV sheet, and then you just read it into a pandas data frame. You read the CSV sheet. So these 2 lines of code are necessary because you have your data or your Excel sheet inside the data folder. Now, because this is slightly different, this is the app structure of your app, you are going to need to do one thing differently. When you create a new web service, like we did with this app, go to and you'll see this page, right, to choose your name, your region. The main difference here is that the root directory will be src because your app, actually, let me just show you. It'll be even a lot faster for you so you don't get confused. Web service, let's do this app, for example. I want you to see how you do it when you have your data inside the data folder. Repository, like this. So this is your app with the Excel sheet in the data folder. What you need to do is root directory is src because this is where your src. This is where your requirements.txt file sits. So make sure to not forget this and put root directory src. This is your requirements folder file. And then here, it would be same thing, GUnicorn. I think it will be app server if my app file, this app is called app.py. So same thing. You see it starts with src, and that's it. Free, and then you can deploy this app as well. So make sure to remember to change the root directory to src. All right, so let's see our app that we deployed a minute ago. Has it been deployed, or is it still thinking? Still thinking, building a wheel for pandas, building everything. Let's hope that it installs the right pandas. Let's see what pandas I gave it to install. Right here, requirements. I said install pandas, pandas 1.35, and this is going to be good. I want to give you an alert because in some cases render won't work with the latest version of certain Python libraries. All right, the latest version of pandas, we can go to PyPy, and pandas is pandas 2.2.1. I'm almost 100% sure that if you put pandas 2.2.1 right here in your requirements requirements.txt file, that render will throw an error. Render will say this panda version doesn't exist, or we can't install it. Please install one of these versions, and they'll tell you you can install version 2.2, 2.1, 1.35. When I did this a couple of months ago, the latest version they allowed me to install was pandas 1.3.5, right? Which is right here, this one. It's kind of weird. It's pretty old, but that's what I installed, and it worked for me. So just pay attention to that. Sometimes with pandas, NumPy, there's certain versions that you'll have to install, but it will tell you this in the error. It will say building failed, and it will tell you exactly why it failed, stating the reason, right? In this case, install a different version of the pandas library. All right, so while it's installing, I want to go over the resource sheet for your future learning. Now this is common that it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to install because again, we're using a free tier, right? We're using we're not paying them any money, so they're not in a rush to build a whole Dash app, but it does take 5 to 10 minutes to deploy the app. All right, so I promised you the resource sheet. As you can see here, we created this to make life easier for you, to make the Dash Plotly learning journey for you a lot faster. So I hope that you use this resource sheet much after the end of this course in the next session. So the Plotly graphing library, you already know, is where you can read all about the different graphs that we have in Plotly, how to install and get started, and so on and so on. Then we have our Dash docs, very important, obviously, to read all about the components. Webinar portal, if you want to see past webinars provided by Plotly staff members, provided by me. You can check them out here, or look at future webinars that are coming up. You also have cheat sheets. If you want to improve your app performance or getting started with Plotly and Dash, you have some formulas for getting started to create your side-by-side layouts or just a regular callback using Dash Bootstrap, and also the basic graphs in Plotly that you can just copy-paste into your PyCharm to create your app. This is for more advanced stuff, apps that are slowing down, they're using a lot of graphs or a lot of data. There's several tips and tricks here on how to make your app perform better and faster. 100 Dash examples is the gallery that I showed you in the first or second session. This gallery has really nice examples of Dash apps built by the community for the community in many different categories, as you can see here on the left. This tool is very good. 100 simple examples. I highly recommend it because it allows you to learn certain parts of Dash. If you want to see maybe a component, how to use the checklist component, or you want to see how to use a certain figure, I want to see the bar chart or a line geo, you can click on this and it will filter and it will give you apps that the community built to learn this topic. And here we're rotating labels, right? How they're moving like certain degrees upside down. You see the X labels. So this is just a cool way to continue learning Dash, right? We have the app on the left. You cannot change the code. This is not WasmDash. that we used in previous sessions. This is just a static code, but you can read how we use the callback, how we build the histogram, and how we connect it to, in this case, this button, right? Okay, last but not least, we have our community section. Well, I guess it's not last, but it is an important section that I wanted to show you, especially the components index, right? This is a part where a list of all the different community components built by the community, right? These are all built on top of Dash, using Dash, and they like Dash Bootstrap, Dash Mantine, and they really make your building of an app a lot easier and provides a lot more customization capabilities. So definitely check this list out. Books, we have 2 books that I co-authored and Elias co-authored. Check them out as well. We have good videos. I made a list of videos here that I think would help you learn Dash, especially the basics, and then some blog posts, some Medium articles, and our Dash Club newsletter, which I highly recommend you sign up to. It's completely free, it's open, and every couple of months I share top news from the community regarding Plotly and Dash in this newsletter. All right, now let's go back to our example. You see that it started building successfully, it deployed, and that's it, it was successful. I read our G unicorn, so now if your service is live, so now if we go here to our link, now we'll see that we have our app, which is really cool. It's still updating. And it's so cool because this is now a URL that I can share with you, my friends, my family, via email, WhatsApp, whatever, and they can actually see the app just as I see it and interact with it. All right. So I hope you learned a lot. I hope this was very helpful. Again, take a look at the resource package that I'm going to give you under the video. This is really going to help you remember the steps that you have to go through to deploy your app. If you have any questions, definitely share them in the comments section of YouTube or on the forum with a Dash Online course tag. I hope to see you more on the forum, and yeah, that's it. Have a good day, and I'll see you at the next and last session, session number 6.